In this video, we're watching a major storm bringing the potential for a massive severe weather outbreak early next week across the plains and the Midwest. And after that, there just might be another severe weather event later next week across the South. But before we jump into the forecast, please be sure to hit the like button and subscribe for more weather updates. So actually, right now, we actually have thunderstorms and scattered severe weather, especially across the central and southern plains today with kind of an enhanced risk of severe weather, but the next major storm really starts forming on Friday. But the next major storm really starts forming on Friday into Friday night, where we have this. We have this trough moving into California on Friday going into Saturday. This is bringing cooler temperatures to California and the Southwest, and also bringing in some rain potentially as well into the western US. But notice what happens through the weekend as it moves off to the northeast. By the time we get to Saturday evening, you have a pretty strong jet stream moving over the Four Corners. This is heading towards the plains, where it's going to create a severe weather event. And then as we go into Sunday night into early Monday, this is where the trough really ejects out into the plains. Things are going to get kind of intense going into Monday when this trough really ejects out. But notice it's actually positively tilted, but you do have a strong jet streak along with these winds spreading out in front of the jet stream. You have these winds spreading out at the upper levels. That's going to help to intensify a low pressure system at the surface and provide wind shear and lift for severe thunderstorms that could be pretty intense as we go to Monday evening, especially across Iowa and surrounding areas. This is going to be pretty intense, but then going into Monday night into Tuesday, then it kind of lifts off to the northeast. And here's a look at the CSU severe weather forecast, and they're showing that even on Sunday, the severe weather starts up in the plains out ahead of that trough, and you have a 15 to 30% risk of severe weather going all the way from North Dakota down into the Oklahoma Panhandle and extreme northern Texas. So the northern and central plains are definitely going to be looking at severe weather on Sunday, but then it really gets intense on Monday. Monday's looking pretty intense. The SPC has already a day 5 enhanced risk for Monday, April 28th over Iowa and surrounding areas where there could be some pretty intense severe weather. And here's a look at the CSU model showing a 45 to 50% chance of severe weather across Iowa. They're forecasting significant severe weather in that hatched area for Iowa and surrounding states. And so, yeah, this definitely looks pretty bad. You could have supercells with strong winds, large hail, and tornadoes. And some of that severe weather will be very intense on Monday. But then as we go into Tuesday, then it kind of tones down and turns more into a line of storms going from northern Texas all the way into Ohio and Michigan on Tuesday from the SPC, and then we have CSU painting an even more spread out area of a slight risk of severe weather on Tuesday. And here's a look at the simulated radar for this. You have notice as we go into Saturday, you have rain and even some snow at the very highest elevations of the Sierra Nevada mountains in California. You have some rain moving into California, into the western US. You have a lot of rain showers, and then you see this low pressure system intensify pretty quickly and move into the northern plains, and it's kind of what's going to be kicking off the severe weather, especially overnight on Sunday across the northern plains is where the Euro model is painting severe thunderstorms. But then that kind of lifts off, but then you see by Monday evening you have pretty intense severe thunderstorms, especially kind of across Iowa, Wisconsin, even the upper peninsula of Michigan. But as of right now, what it looks like is that a lot of the most intense storms are going to be around Iowa. This is where there is the potential for some intense supercells before this kind of fades out and turns into, a broken line of storms that kind of redevelops on Tuesday afternoon, and that could just bring some strong winds. Also, a couple tornadoes could be possible in that, but mostly a wind event, heavy rain, some hail even would be possible before that kind of fades away. And here's a look at the supercell composite, just showing how favorable the atmosphere is for supercells. And as you go into into Sunday afternoon, Sunday evening, the supercell composite values are in the 20s across Kansas and Nebraska. Now, some of the instability could be capped, but still, we're showing the environment is very favorable for supercells across Nebraska, especially the northern plains, even parts of the central plains. Definitely looking at some decent severe weather potential on Sunday night is when it starts, but then it really builds on Monday afternoon into Monday evening with supercell composite values. Even though they look lower, this is where most of the favorable atmospheric conditions do line up for potentially some intense supercells. That's why it definitely looks like a pretty concerning severe weather setup. We have supercell composite values of around 10 to 12 across Iowa going into Monday evening, and then that kind of pretty much dies down. But then going into Tuesday evening, we could have some elevated supercell composite values, much lower though, so not so much of a supercell event, but I do think this is going to be a damaging wind type of setup with just a drawn out kind of line of storms pushing through, going from northern Texas all the way up into Ohio and potentially upstate New York on Tuesday evening. But also look at the dew points just to show how far north the moisture is being pulled. This is pulling moisture all the way up into Minnesota with dew points in the mid 60s in Minneapolis. Definitely pretty significant. You have some high dew points going into the northern plains, but the dew points are actually lower. So it's pulling in some moisture, but across where we think the storms are going to be forming, the moisture does kind of look lower. The dew points are in the 50s, not so favorable for severe weather. Dew points could approach 60 degrees in some locations, but Monday is definitely looking very intense. And then Tuesday, you do have moisture available for these storms, so definitely severe weather expected on Tuesday as well. But the most significant day where everything's lining up is Monday for sure. After that, there actually could be another severe weather event. Basically, if you notice, this trough, the northern part of the trough, bring in the severe weather to the Midwest Sunday night into Monday. Then the southern part of the trough actually kind of moves into the southwest, and then kind of moves along very slowly until we get to Wednesday. And Wednesday evening, Wednesday night, you have the trough actually moves out into the southern plains, and you can see this is, even though it's a pretty weak trough by this point, but it's negatively tilted actually. So this could kick up some severe weather, and this is obviously negatively tilted as it moves across the south going into Wednesday and Thursday before that one kind of disappears. But yeah, the Euro model's showing some severe weather potential across Texas and Oklahoma, especially on Wednesday evening, and then that moves into the mid-south as well, going into Thursday before that kind of lifts off, and then we'll have to see if there's any more severe weather down the road after that. That's pretty much what's happening over the next week or so. I have to see what happens with that. So make sure you hit the like button, subscribe, and turn on notifications for more weather updates. Thanks for watching. Extreme Weather Zone out.